Okay. All right. So we're going to start doing a new concept to me that Silver is going to talk about called contexts. And they're basically a way of having a a part being defined by where by features or distances or faces that are in an assembly. So take away from here. So let's just build a quick assembly real quick.
So the way that I think I want to set up this context is by having, let's just make it a 3-inch circle or cylinder. Shoot it out. Let's draw with 2 inches. Why not? So we've got our cylinder, and let's just make a hole. We know that a falcon has a 3/4 inch diameter, like step up in the middle of it before you reach the shaft. So let's just have a hole for that. But then let's just say that, oh no, I need the wires to face a very specific direction. We can go and insert, first we can insert our part, and we can fasten it down however which way we'd like. Let's go that way. Open up
All right. So now
MKCAD.
we're working in an assembly and we
Yep,
brought that little
the donut.
whatever
We've
it
brought
is,
the
this thing,
donut
the donut
into,
that's going to hold a falcon.
yep.
Okay. Yep.
And now we can grab the falcon from MKCAD. There we go. Let's go with a long shaft. But now that where did it go? There it is. So, okay, we have a falcon. But the problem is we need it to face an extremely specific direction that we can't just grab any way we'd like. And we need the whole pattern to match up with it. So the way we would go about that, there is another way that we can do it, but let's just offset this by some arbitrary value about Z. Let's make it 37 degrees offset.
Okay.
So by offsetting that, we have rotated the falcon by 37 degrees. So now we can think, oh, the wires are facing the right way. Now what we can do is right click your part that you've made, click edit in context. That'll be in the second set up from the bottom.
I see. Okay.
And it'll bring you into context. Oh dear.
And now the part I'm editing is the blue donut. Okay,
Yes.
I see. Okay.
And you'll have the falcon right here. So you can make a sketch. For example, let's make a sketch. Use that face. I'm going to hide the planes because they're being annoying. And we can get rid of this and then hit the use function. And we can grab any hole we please. And it created the context. Now you see this yellow bar and there's the arrow. That arrow means that we have context in this part studio from the assembly it's been grabbed from. So we can grab.
So you've just pointed to the model tree.
The model tree, yes.
The model tree in the part studio.
In the part studio.
And it's telling you that it's got context from someplace else.
Yes. And when you double click that arrow, you can reach context of assembly 1. It'll give you the go to assembly button, and it'll take you to your assembly tab where it's being used and where you're.
Okay, so why don't you put put another hole in there just so we have 3 of them. Yep. And then let's also let's put a hole that is for, let's say we want wires, right? So let's imagine that we're going to put like a square box that would be parallel to the wire exit, yes, in there.
So that we would probably want to do something along the lines of using the wires.
Let's imagine we're going to run the motors up through the shaft. I just want to put a hole in your donut that is lined up with those holes, with that orientation. That's all.
Understood. I mean. And to do that, we could probably do best by using those wire positions to create a circle.
Yep. Okay.
Let's just make it horizontal to here. Do that and make it 3/4 of an inch. So now we've used the context of these wires. You can see they have lit up purple.
Yep, I see that.
Purple shows that there's context. And now we can complete the sketch, unhide the part. Now we can close out of the context, and we still have our entire sketch.
Okay, and so that sketch can do an extrude or anything we can do with sketches, and we can like make a
Yep.
make a remove and go all the way through the part, say.
Yeah.
Let's just
So
make it
we
go all
can
the way
just
through the part.
go through all. And boom. Now you've
Okay,
got a
so
wire
now
slot
put
and three
something on there
holes.
so we can see the orientation of this thing. Like make it something, go back, move the model tree up, and before we do the context, put in something to make this circle asymmetric. You know what I'm saying? Like
Asymmetric.
put a slice in it like there or something so we can tell which way the orientation is. You know, because right
Okay.
now it's round, we can't really tell. If you change the angle from 37 to 36 or to 50, we won't be able to tell because it doesn't, you know, it's round. So I just wanted to put something in there that makes it not round. You could go in and edit the initial sketch if you wanted to. Doesn't really matter.
I think I've got something. Actually, hold on. We can just put a little chunk in it. 2, 1.5. There. We can just take out a little chunk. Remove 0.25.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right, so now
Oh,
we can
I
kind
just
of
canceled it. Remove 0.25. There we go.
okay. So now we've got a chunk in it. Roll the model tree forward. Great. All right. So now, all right. So now what we can see is we've got enough room for the wires, but if we go into the context and change it from 36 degrees to let's say minus 36 degrees, which is what you had before.
So just take away 37 or
Yeah,
make it
make it
negative
minus
37.
37. I just want to change it something so we'll be able to see it's obviously different.
Yeah.
Did
And
that work?
okay,
We have to
so
update it?
yep, we have to update it just like we have to update parts in
Okay.
assemblies that are derived. We have to do the
Okay.
same here. So we can update context and then boom, it shifts.
I see. All right. And it is lined up with the orientation. All right. So that's very interesting.
Yeah,
Okay. A nice,
it's a
cool little
lovely
clean
feature.
example. All right. Do other people, I've been asking a lot of questions. Are there any other questions that people have? Like, did we follow what we were doing there or not? Zachariah? Carolyn?
Yeah, I was following.
You following it? Okay.
It's good.
All right. So do you think we could do it again? Could one of you drive it again and say, like, let's do a context where what we're going to do is, I'm not sure. Let's what other context, what other things do you use it for? Silver.
So I've often used I generally use context for positioning of things. So if I have a plate that holds a bunch of different gears in a bunch of different places, and I want to connect them with like an external set where the shafts poke through for gears to connect on the outside, I can use context to figure out how I should create that external plate or part that holds those gears.
Okay, so
Actually,
you can basically place the gears.
here we go.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite CAD projects that I've done. I can't remember exactly if I used context here, but these kinds of use cases, if it would load, that would be wonderful. I did use context for the servos. So these servos had to be mounted perfectly so that their arm would reach and shift this shifter here perfectly without interfering with anything else. So I went into the context of all of these. Here we go. We can open the context.
So you built the bridge that goes between those things. So you just placed them in the assembly, two parts in an assembly, and then made a new part or edited an existing part that
Yes.
used the context in order to figure that out. So it's kind of like yeah, being instead of importing things into the part studio, you leave them in the assembly, and the assembly positions are the things that are driving the geometry of your part.
That's correct.
Kind of fair. Okay, I see. All right, yeah,
So-
that does seem very powerful.
It is. It's an incredible feature. I remember when I first learned how to use it, I was just thinking like this, there's no way this is real, because it's just so unbelievably powerful to be able to do all these things. And if we go back, close out of context. Another way that you can use context is to make plates like this, where you've got 3 different gears, one of them is floating and the other 2 are connected. If you want to connect them in some way, you may need to use context to figure out, okay, these gears are here, and I needed to make this middleman gear exist. And there was the whole problem of what size gear, how many teeth, and how do I make this happen?
Okay.
And the goal was to make all of the gears a universal like pitch, so that I could replace any of them with any different gear. And so that's kind of where the problem came in of, I need to figure out the exact spacing of this for it to work correctly.
Okay.
So sometimes you can use context for that. Other times you may want to use a different system.
All right.
And that gives you crazy clearances like this sometimes, which is just absolutely tiny for a gearbox.
Okay, cool. All right, anyone have questions about context and how we might use them? Okay, very cool, very nice. I like that. I'm going to stop the recording, and that way we can yeah, I can just put this as a nice little standalone. Here's context. Very nice. Okay.
I'll stop my share.